I saw it for the first time in my life. What was hidden under his work pants was so impressive that even the thick fabric couldn't hide it. It happened while I was standing under the stepladder, about to hand him a tool, and I accidentally looked up. My gaze just froze, and the screwdriver I was holding clattered loudly to the floor. 20 years I had lived with my husband, 20 years out of my 52, but next to that man, I had never felt anything like it. I couldn't even imagine that such a thing actually existed in real life. That day, I understood. My life would change forever. I quickly picked up the screwdriver and handed it to him. My face burned, as if I had been splashed with boiling water. Jack climbed down from the stepladder, took the tool, and I thought I saw him blush a little, though he immediately went back to work. I practically ran out of the bathroom and collapsed on the couch in the living room. My heart was racing like crazy. I covered my face with my hands. A 52-year-old woman acting like a teenager who had seen something forbidden. I was ashamed, but the shock wouldn't go away, the way it had been so clearly outlined through his clothes. Before, I had only seen such things in movies, and even then I thought they were special effects. I didn't know real life could be like that. My ex-husband Brian, with whom I'd lived for 20 years, to be honest, he was very modestly endowed. Even, perhaps, too modestly. At first, I thought all men were like that. Before marriage, I had no experience. But what I had just seen, is that even real? I accidentally said out loud. My name is Eleanor. I am 52 years old. 2 years ago, I divorced after 20 years of a marriage I had simply endured. Brian was a difficult man. In the beginning, he pretended to be normal, and I just wanted a quiet, ordinary family. But over time, his true nature came out. Every day after work, I heard the same thing, that I was worthless, that I was living off him. Even though I worked part-time and raised 2 children, he mocked me for coming from a poor family. When my mother died, he didn't even come to the funeral, lying that he had an emergency at work. In reality, he was playing poker with his friends that day. I endured everything for the sake of the children, my daughter Sarah and my son Michael. I promised myself I would wait until they came of age. And then, 2 years ago, when Sarah graduated from college and found a job and Michael returned from the army, Brian started an affair. It was his subordinate, a girl of 28. He himself demanded a divorce, saying he wanted to start over and that an old wife was no longer needed. Who would even look at a 50-year-old woman? He laughed. Take your pennies and leave quietly. That night, for the first time, I fought back. We divorced, but I didn't leave empty-handed. I gathered evidence of his infidelities, hired a good lawyer, and won a fair divorce settlement plus shares of the property. With that money, I bought this house, a small old cottage in a quiet town in upstate New York, about an hour from the city. It was my home, bought with my money, the start of a new life. I swore to myself I would never fall in love again. But the house was run down and needed renovation. I called several companies. The last to arrive was Jack. He was 43 years old, a handyman who worked for himself. At first glance, he seemed quiet, but his gaze was very warm. Tall, strong, with large, work-worn hands. He spent 2 hours inspecting every corner, taking notes and explaining in detail what needed to be fixed. His price was reasonable, lower than the others. My intuition whispered, he's the one. So 2 weeks ago, the renovation began. Every morning at 8 o'clock sharp, he was at my door. He worked alone, quietly, thoroughly. I naturally started cooking lunch for him. We exchanged short but warm phrases, and then today, when he was working on the bathroom ceiling and asked for a tool, I looked up under the stepladder, and my life began to change. The sounds of work continued from the bathroom, the buzzing of a drill, the tapping of a hammer. I sat on the couch staring blankly into space, listening to the noise. Get a grip, Eleanor, I told myself. It's just an optical illusion. The angle was strange, or his pants bunched up in a weird fold. But my heart kept racing. About 30 minutes later, Jack came out to the living room and said he was done for the day. I stood up and looked at him. His usual calm face, dust on his work overalls, drops of sweat on his forehead. I offered him water, but he declined, took out his own thermos, and started drinking. I watched his throat move as he swallowed. And before I knew it, my gaze slipped downward again. Now everything looked normal. The fabric of his pants hung loosely. It was my imagination after all, I thought. and I wasn't sure whether I felt relief or disappointment. He said goodbye until tomorrow and left. Broad shoulders, straight back. The door closed. I collapsed on the couch again. What is wrong with me? That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. That moment kept replaying in my memory. The view from below, the outline under the fabric. I buried my face in my pillow and groaned. 52 years old, acting like a teenager. In 20 years of marriage, I had never felt anything like that. My relationship with Brian was, to be honest, a duty. I felt very little. I simply performed my marital obligation. He wasn't very interested in me either. Intimacy happened less and less often, and toward the end, once every few months. I must just not be attractive as a woman, I used to think. After the divorce, I had given up on myself entirely, 52 years old. What passion could there be? But today, for the first time, I felt this strange flutter, curiosity. I must be losing my mind. But I had to sleep. Tomorrow he would come again. I would act normal. Nothing happened, I kept telling myself. Morning, 7:30. I got up earlier than usual, took a shower, put on lotion, looked in the mirror. Normally, I wore baggy t-shirts around the house, but today I found myself going through my closet. Too fancy, silly, too casual, not right. In the end, I chose a neat sweater and jeans. I even put on a little makeup. I looked at myself in the mirror one more time and whispered, "You've completely lost it." The doorbell rang. 8 o'clock. He was punctual. My heart dropped. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Jack was the same as always. Calm gaze, clean work clothes, tool bag. He said he would work on the living room today. He came in, took off his shoes, and started getting ready. I went to the kitchen to put the kettle on. I tried to act natural, but my hands were trembling. Suddenly, he called out to me and asked if everything was all right after yesterday. He said he thought he might have scared me somehow or done something wrong. I noticed he was slightly blushing. No, no, not at all, I answered quickly. I'm just clumsy. My hand slipped, that's why the screwdriver fell. He exhaled with relief and said he was afraid he had made me uncomfortable in the cramped bathroom. He had no idea, I realized, of course. How could he know what I had seen and how it had affected me? I told him not to worry. He nodded and got back to work in the living room. I stood in the kitchen clutching a hot cup. Everything's fine, just act normal. Time passed. Jack peeled off old wallpaper and smoothed the walls. I cooked lunch. I made beef stew. I knew he liked it. Wait, how did I know he liked it? But I did. Over those 2 weeks of shared lunches, I had learned. He liked beef stew, ate a lot of bread, enjoyed spicy food, and preferred plain water after a meal, not tea. Then his voice again. He called me over and asked for help moving a piece of furniture. He needed to move the couch. I can do it myself, but it's easier with two so we don't scratch the floor, he said. We took the couch from both sides. It was heavier than I thought. We had to squeeze through a narrow passage. The distance between us shrank to almost nothing. And then my foot caught on a toolbox lying on the floor. I lost my balance. My hand slipped off the couch, and I fell forward. Jack instantly let go of the couch and caught me. I ended up with my face against his chest, solid muscles, the heat of his body. And then I felt something. Something firm and large and overwhelming. This time, it was not an illusion. I felt it with my whole body. I heard his voice. "Are you okay?" But I couldn't answer. I quickly pulled away. My face was on fire. "Did you hurt yourself?" "No, I'm fine. I'm sorry," I mumbled. He was embarrassed too, apologized for leaving his tools in the way. He quickly put everything away and moved the couch by himself. I ran to the kitchen, leaned on the counter, and tried to catch my breath. It was real. What I had seen yesterday was not my imagination. He really was extraordinary. I set the table. We sat down to lunch as usual, but nothing felt usual anymore. I couldn't look him in the eye. My gaze kept drifting downward against my will. "Stop it," I told myself. He spoke first. He said the weather was lovely today, spring was in the air. I answered in short words. An awkward silence hung between us. "Did I do something to upset you?" he asked suddenly. "You seem different today." He had noticed. "No, not at all. I'm just a little tired." "Don't overdo it," he said warmly. Lunch ended. He offered to help with the dishes, but I refused. He went back to work. I washed the plates and thought, this can't go on. For 2 weeks, we had talked easily, and now I had ruined everything. And it was my fault, my fantasies. Pull yourself together. He's just a handyman doing a renovation. But my heart wouldn't listen. And somewhere deep down, I knew it was already too late. 2 more days passed. I tried to keep my distance. I still cooked lunch, but I didn't sit down with him, making excuses that I had things to do. He seemed to understand and didn't ask unnecessary questions. The living room renovation was almost finished. Only the bedroom on the second floor remained. That day, Jack carried materials upstairs. I watched him climb the narrow staircase with large sheets of plywood. Be careful, I couldn't help saying. He made several trips. His t-shirt was soaked with sweat on the back. I offered him water. He thanked me and drank a glass in one go, holding it with one hand. I found myself watching his throat again. And then my gaze slipped downward once more. His clothes clung to his body from the sweat, outlining his figure even more clearly. Don't look, I commanded myself, but my eyes wouldn't obey. Eleanor. I flinched and looked up. You look very tired. Are you sure you're all right? Yes, everything's fine. Don't worry about the renovation. I'll do everything myself. You rest. There was so much concern in his gaze that something inside me gave way. Evening was falling over the town. Jack started packing up his tools. It will all be over soon, I thought. The renovation would end, he would leave, and we would never see each other again. The thought made my chest feel so empty and cold. The words came out on their own. Jack, would you like to stay for dinner? He looked at me in surprise. I've cooked too much, I lied. The refrigerator was actually almost empty, but I didn't want to let him go. I don't want to impose. Don't be silly, I cook lunch every day, dinner is nothing. Then I'd love to. Thank you, he smiled. For the first time, I saw him truly smile. Just give me a moment, I said, and ran to the kitchen. My heart was ready to jump out of my chest. I threw open the refrigerator. Thank goodness, meat, vegetables, pickles. I started cooking at a furious pace. Half an hour later, the table was set, roasted pork, potatoes, salads. Wow, what a feast, he said. You shouldn't have gone to so much trouble. Please, sit down. Do you drink whiskey? I asked. I do. Let's have a drink then. Let's. I took a bottle from the freezer and set out 2 glasses. We clinked. The cold whiskey burned my throat, leaving a warm aftertaste. Over the meal, the conversation began to flow more freely. How much work is left? I asked. About a week. Just need to finish the second floor. 1 week. It felt like both a long time and no time at all. Good thing it's almost over. I must be getting tired of you with all this renovation. Not at all. I feel very comfortable here with you. We had another drink. The tension began to ease. For the first time, I called him by his first name without any formality. Just Jack. Jack, do you live alone? He froze with his fork in his hand. Yes, alone. What about family? My parents died a few years ago. No brothers or sisters. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked. It's all right. What about your personal life? I didn't know why I was asking. The whiskey had loosened my tongue. There's no one, he answered. How can that be? I said in surprise. You're 43. You're such a handsome man, a good person. Why? There are reasons. He blushed and looked away, and then it hit me. I'm alone too, you know, I said. I'm divorced. I know, I heard. 2 years now, 20 years of marriage down the drain. It was hard for you. Very hard, but it's easier now. I poured myself another drink. The alcohol went to my head. To be honest, I never saw any happiness in all those 20 years. My husband never loved me. I was just a convenient object to him. A function? I looked him straight in the eye. And you know, he was very modest. The words slipped out before I could stop them. My face turned red. I'm sorry, I'm drunk and talking nonsense. I understand, Jack said quietly. I have a problem too, a complex. Silence. I'm too large, he confessed. Women, they get scared. His voice trembled. When I was 20, I had a girlfriend, my first love. I loved her desperately, but on the night we tried to be together, she started crying. She said she was afraid, that I should find someone else, and she left. There were a few more attempts after that. The same story every time. Everything was fine at first, but when it came down to it, I would see fear in their eyes and then they would run away. He laughed bitterly. I gave up. I've lived alone for 23 years. The last woman I was with was when I was 20. My heart ached for him. Jack, I said, I don't think I would be afraid. He looked up at me. My husband was nothing. For 20 years, I never felt a thing. I thought I was frigid. I thought I was defective as a woman. My hands were shaking. But a few days ago I whispered, there on the stepladder, by accident. He turned crimson. And today, when I felt it. I'm sorry, he began. No, don't apologize. I wasn't scared. On the contrary, I was curious. Silence. We sat there, red-faced as teenagers, not daring to look at each other. I like you, I said. From the very first meeting. I feel so at peace with you. I like you too. You're the first person who has treated me so warmly, like a real person. Age doesn't matter, I said. 9 years difference is nothing. You're beautiful, Eleanor. Tears came to my eyes. In 20 years of marriage, I had never heard those words. He reached his hand across the table and covered mine with his. That huge, warm hand. Is that okay? We can try, slowly. Let's try, I nodded. That night we talked until dawn about loneliness, pain, hopes. I realized, at 52 years old, I was falling in love for the first time in my life. In the morning, a message arrived. I'm sorry I stayed so late last night. May I come today at 10 o'clock? I smiled. Of course, I'll be waiting at 10 o'clock. I looked in the mirror. 52, fine lines around my eyes, but my eyes were shining. Shower, lotion, my favorite clothes. I wasn't ashamed anymore. 10 o'clock, the doorbell. We met each other's eyes. Everything was different now. He came in, took off his shoes, glanced quickly at me. I made coffee. When I handed him the cup, our fingers touched. It was like an electric shock. Were you very drunk last night? He asked. A little. Do you remember what we talked about? Every word. Any regrets? No, I meant everything. He put down his cup. So did I. I really like you, Eleanor. My heart began to pound. I like you too, Jack. Does the age difference really not bother you? Not at all. I actually like it. And my situation? I blushed. I'm not afraid. Maybe a little nervous, but not afraid. I'll be very careful, very slow. A week passed. The renovation was almost finished, but Jack came every day. He admitted, to be honest, there was only about 2 days of work left. I was stretching it out. I was afraid that if I finished, I wouldn't see you anymore. Silly man, the renovation will end, but we won't. We held hands. It became natural. We had dinner together, walked around the town. The neighbors started whispering. Who is that man? He's doing the renovation. Oh, so young and handsome. We heard the gossip, but we didn't care. And then one evening after dinner, we were sitting in the living room. You can stay tonight if you want, I said. If you don't mind. I would really like that. He took my hand. Are you sure? I'm nervous. Honestly, it's you, so I'm not afraid. I'll be gentle. Tell me right away if anything is wrong. We went upstairs to the bedroom. My heart felt like it would burst. At 52 years old, like a bride on her wedding night. You're trembling, he said. A little? I'm trembling too. 23 years. I'm afraid of hurting you. I trust you. He held me gently. He kissed me, awkwardly but with such tenderness. Our clothes fell to the floor. You're beautiful, he whispered, looking at my body. You're lying. I mean it. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever known. And then came that moment. Relax, he whispered. I'm trying. Just tell me if it's too much. Slowly, very slowly. A deep breath. And then a pause. How are you? Okay, but this is incredible. I didn't know it could be like this. He stopped. Can I move? Slowly, please. Slowly. It felt like time stood still. Sensations I had never known in 20 adult years. So this was what it meant. Tears ran down my face. Don't cry. It's because I'm happy. I'm only learning what this is at 52. We stayed together until morning, slowly, gently, with love. A week after the renovation ended, Jack still came every day. I missed you, he said. I missed you too. We went grocery shopping together, cooked, watched movies. Are you getting used to it? He asked. I'm still amazed. Every time. Does it hurt? It did at first. Not anymore. Now it's wonderful. I'm glad. We were happy, but the neighbors whispered louder. That man comes every day. The renovation ended long ago. He's young enough to be her son. The gossip spread. Eleanor, people are talking, Jack began. I don't care. What matters is that we're happy. I worry about you. Any regrets? Not for a single second. Me neither. And then the doorbell rang. I opened it. Brian was standing on the doorstep, my ex-husband. What are you doing here? This used to be my house too once. Aren't you going to invite me in? No, leave. What's with the tone? He sneered. We lived together for 20 years. We're divorced. 2 years now. I know, I've been thinking. Let's start over. Have you lost your mind? It didn't work out with that girl. I realized you're better after all. I couldn't believe my ears. I don't care. Leave. Are you serious? Who's going to want you at 52? You think men are lining up? That's my business. Oh, I've heard. You found yourself a younger man. How do you know that? The whole town is talking. You took in the handyman? Yes. What business is it of yours? It is my business. You're my wife, ex-wife, so here's the deal. Dump that gigolo and come back to me. Never. Oh, really? Then I'll shame you in front of the whole town. I'll tell everyone how an old woman seduced a 40-year-old man, how she bought him with money. I'll ruin his life. He won't be able to work around here. You have 1 week to think it over. He turned and left. My legs gave way. I slid down the wall. A week passed. The rumors spread. She bought herself a young man, keeps him with money, gets free renovation work. At the grocery store, people pointed fingers at me. Jack suffered too. He lost clients in the town, people canceled his services. It's okay, he said. I'll find work in another town. This is my fault, I sobbed. No, it's not your fault. I decided I had to leave, to stop ruining his life. I started packing my bags. The doorbell rang. Jack saw the suitcases. Why are you packing? I'm leaving. Why? Because of me, you're having problems. I ruin everything. He grabbed me by the shoulders. What about me without you? You'll find work somewhere else. Eleanor, I can't live without you. I burst into tears. Stay, I won't let anyone hurt you. But how? I love you. We'll be together. That night, we decided not to run away, but to fight. The next day, we went out together in public. But the rumors only grew stronger. The lies multiplied. Brian came back a few days later. Well, made up your mind? Get out, you old fool. That guy will leave you as soon as your money runs out. Come with me. Get out of here. He tried to push his way into the house. I'm telling you one more time. Come back to me, or I'll make your life hell. What kind of hell? A voice came from behind. It was Jack. Who are you? Brian snarled. Oh, the little lover boy. Aren't you ashamed to sleep with an old woman? You're the one who should be ashamed, Jack said calmly. Leaving your wife after 20 years for a young girl and then crawling back. How dare you? I know all about you. Cheating, humiliation, divorce. Brian turned red. How dare you? I dare, because I love Eleanor. You don't even know what love is. I'll destroy you. You'll never work around here again. Try it. I'll find work. All I need is Eleanor. Brian raised his fist. Jack stepped aside easily. Hit me, and I'll call the police. There's a camera right there. He pointed to the corner of the house. I held up my phone. I recorded everything. Your threats, your slander. Brian went pale. Crazy people, he hissed and backed away. So we're strangers now? Yes, strangers. And don't let me see you here again. I slammed the door. My legs were shaking. Jack held me. You were so brave. I'm scared. Everything will be all right now. We decided to end the gossip once and for all. The next day, we went to see the town mayor, Mayor Thompson. Mayor Thompson, could you spare a moment? I've heard all sorts of things about you. They're lies. We want to tell you the truth. I laid out my divorce papers. This is why we divorced. Infidelity, psychological abuse. He left me for a younger woman, and when she threw him out, he tried to come back. I said no, and he started spreading rumors to get revenge. Mayor Thompson frowned. And Jack, he did your renovation. I paid him. Here are the receipts. And then we fell in love. Jack spoke up. We have a 9-year age difference. Is that a crime? Eleanor is the first person who accepted me for who I am. I have my own situation that left me alone for many years, and she loved me anyway. I started to cry. Mayor Thompson, we just want to live in peace. The mayor sighed. I understand. I was wrong to listen to gossip. He gathered the neighbors at the community hall. Folks, there's been a misunderstanding. Eleanor has been slandered. I stepped forward, holding Jack's hand. I told them everything about my ex-husband, his cruelty, his lies, and that the house was mine and the renovation was paid for. People began to look at each other. What about the age difference? Someone called out. 9 years, laughed an old woman. My husband is 7 years younger than me. So what? Mine is 10 years younger, another woman added. These days, 9 years is nothing. The mood in the room shifted. People started apologizing. Sorry, Eleanor, we believe the gossip. Jack, could you take a look at my porch? And I need new wallpaper in my kitchen. The work orders started coming in again. We cried with relief. 6 months passed. Jack moved in with me. Now it's our house. On the first floor, we opened a small office. Jack's Home Repairs. Business was booming. One day, I ran into a neighbor at the store. Eleanor, you're glowing. You look so happy. You must have found a good man. The best, I said. That evening, Jack was cooking dinner. What are you making? Your favorite, chicken soup. I hugged him from behind. I went to the doctor today. Are you sick? He tensed up. No, just a checkup. She said I'm very healthy. Everything is working fine. His face lit up. Really? Yes, 52 years old, but my body is doing just fine. Maybe we could try for a baby. Tears ran down his cheeks. Are you serious? I want to have your child. Thank you, God, thank you. We dreamed of a new life. 52 and 43. Too late? No, just the right time. A year passed. My belly grew round. 7 months. Be careful, he said, doting on me. I'm fine. The neighbors congratulated us. Well, I'll be. At that age, it's a miracle, a blessing. One day I ran into Brian. He looked at my belly in silence, then lowered his head and walked past. He meant nothing to me anymore. I sat on the couch stroking my belly. Little one, your mama was reborn at 52. Jack sat down next to me and put his hand on my belly. And your papa at 43. We are happy, I said. Yes, much happier than we ever were when we were young. The light of the spring sun filled the room. My real life began at 52. My real love came at 43. Age is just a number. When feelings are real, anything is possible. It's never too late to start over. That is my story. The story of Eleanor, a divorced woman, and Jack, the handyman. If it touched your heart, please leave a like and subscribe. Your comments give me the strength to keep writing. Thank you for being with us. Until next time.